Welcome back to another weekly craft video. My name's Tori. I'm the Makerspace Librarian at the Irvin L. Young Memorial Library in Whitewater, Wisconsin. Today I have a craft that is for adults, but that doesn't mean that kids can't do it too. It just means that it was designed with adults in mind. We're going to be making these really cute stamped clay bowls. They're very easy to make, and the size and design is totally up to you. So I made these really tiny just because I wanted to show you some different techniques that you can use. Here I dipped the clay into the ink several times and then rolled it up and rolled it out to kind of give it this marbleized effect, which looks really cool. I like how that turned out. So you're only going to get one stamp and one stamp pad in your kit, but if you have some more at home, definitely use those. Or if you have paints at home, you could paint something on your clay bowl. It's totally up to you. But even if you only use the one stamp and stamp pad, you could make a whole bunch of different little ones like these and give them as personalized gifts. One tip I have for these is don't wait to make them. I had to open up the packages that the clay was in and separate them out into Ziploc bags. So they are sealed in Ziplocs, but that doesn't mean that they haven't already started drying out. And one thing I noticed as I was making the different bowls is towards the end, the clay started to become more difficult to work with. So once you open up the bag and start working with it, make sure you use up all the clay. Don't wait and save it till later, because it does become more difficult to work with and your project is not going to turn out as well. As usual, you can pick up this week's craft kit outside the library's south doors. That's the side that's closer to the parking lot. You can just drop by anytime between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. and pick up your craft kit and do this activity at home. This week's craft kit is going to contain one stamp, one ink pad, a piece of this air dry clay, and a little bit of sandpaper. At home, you're going to want to gather together some small dishes or cups that you want to use as a mold for your bowls, and a rolling pin or just something round like this thing I have here that you can use to roll out your clay. At home, you might want to use one of these two to help your bowls last longer and look nicer. Maybe you want to paint the outside with some clear Mod Podge or spray it with a clear craft spray like this one here, just to help it last longer and look nicer. Also, at the end of the project, when you're sanding your bowl, you definitely want to wear protective gear. Wear protective eyewear to keep the dust out of your eyes and a mask to avoid breathing it in. You should also do any sanding or spraying outside. The process of making these clay bowls is really pretty simple. You just rip off a piece of your clay depending on how big you want your bowl to be. You're going to roll it out until it's flat. You're going to use your mold to cut out a circular piece of the clay, and then you just take your stamp it in the ink, and stamp it onto your bowl to make the design. My bowls are only a couple millimeters thick. You just want to be careful not to make them too thin, because then the stamp could punch all the way through the clay, or they might just be kind of just too thin and a little bit weak. Once you have it rolled out, just press down really hard with your mold. Now we're going to tear away the excess clay. Like that. All right, and there it is. I don't know if you can see, there's kind of some rough edges on here. That's what we're going to use the sandpaper for later on, and we can rub out all those rough edges. There we have it. And now we're just gonna place it inside our mold. I'm not gonna push it all the way down to the bottom, but I am gonna try to make it as even on all sides as possible and just kind of smush down the edges with my finger a little bit so that it kind of takes on that bowl shape. The clay that we're using is an air dry clay. No baking is required, no heat required. You just let it air dry. It says you need to let it sit for 36 to 48 hours until it's completely dry. You need to allow your clay bowls to dry between 36 and 48 hours. These haven't even been drying for quite 36 hours yet, but as you can see, these are very small, thin bowls, so they don't take as long to dry. Whereas if you make a larger, thicker bowl, it's gonna take longer. You're gonna wanna give it at least that 48 hours before you continue to work on it. Some of my bowls have kind of rough edges around the rim, so this is where I'm going to use my sandpaper to sand down the rim of the bowl until it is nice and smooth. I'm going to be really careful while I'm doing that so as not to put like too much pressure on the bowl. I don't want to break it or crack it. I'm just going to lightly go over the rim with some sandpaper until it's nice and smooth. And now for the final step. I'm just going to paint my bowls with this Mod Podge. It's the dishwasher safe gloss kind of Mod Podge. It has this blue label. So I've already coated the bottoms in Mod Podge, and now I'm just going to coat the tops as well. I might give it 1 or 2 coats just depending on how it looks when it dries, but the Mod Podge really doesn't take very long to dry at all. So yeah, I'm just gonna coat these and my project will be finished. I think they turned out really well. I really like them. They're very cute. Perfect for handmade gifts.